So, what we're doing today is looking at the graph. Oh, I didn't press start. It's on. Okay. So we're looking at the graph of the exponential growth and the exponential decay all in one day today so that we can work in class tomorrow, being that we're in a different room. Okay, so I wrote the, up here on the dry erase marker board, okay, I wrote the graph of growth, okay, and there's the equation for growth. Don't worry much about the A. The A is not going to really complicate things at all. The equation for decay, and I need to redraw that graph, it's kind of crazy looking, is 1 over B, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, x minus h plus k. All right? Okay. So, here we have on this graph, let me get my pen instead of the eraser. Okay, right here we're talking about growth. So as it goes from left to right, like you're reading a book, it grows. Okay, something is growing. So they have a 2 here for the B. And the way I do it, it kind of sounds silly in your head, but it's what I do in my head. Okay, here's the flat part of the graph. I say flat, flat, flat. Here's the first point. Here's the second point. And those first and second points are going to become really like your lifeline. Okay, now the first point, this parent function, most of our parent functions all year long, in fact all of them, have gone through the origin, like down here, where the x and the y axis cross. But this one, the parent function doesn't go through the origin. It goes through the point 0, 1, okay? So that's how you know if that first point that you can come to is going through 0, 1, you know it hasn't moved any right or left, okay, or even up or down, okay, that it's at home base. Okay, so that's the first point. Where they've gotten the 2, which is our B, remember yesterday, I guess I'll lean too close to the board here, where they got that B is, on Friday, remember B is the growth factor, okay, so you have your A, B to the X from Friday, okay, so here's our B. The B is the second point, and so they have the B right there. We don't have an A right now. Okay, so you go flat, flat, flat. Here's the first point. Here's the second point this time. The B is how much? 3. And so they have a 3 right here. Then you go flat, flat, flat. First point. Second point. This time the B is 4. That's how they got the B. Okay? So this one hasn't been pushed up or down. The horizontal asymptote is right here on the x-axis. You just can't see it. Okay? Okay. So let's move down here and actually slide this graph to the left or right, the horizontal translations. Okay. So let me find my papers. So everybody's on the blue paper, right? You're not on the orange one. Everybody's on the blue. Okay. So, flat, flat, flat. You start where the graph is flat. You mark your first point and your second point. So we just got a little bit of practice using the second point to know that that's our B. So our B is 2 here. And now let's talk about the H. Remember a second ago I said that the parent function, this first point should be right here at 0, 1. Okay, and if you look back up there, you'll see it is. So this graph slid over to the right how many? 3. So our H is 3. Remember the H slides the graph right and left, translates the graph right and left. So our H is 3. And I know these graphs are kind of small, but I can get it in there, so I know you can too. You just have to write tiny. So our H is 3. Now we can write our equation. The horizontal asymptote, it hasn't been pushed up or down yet. So it's still 0. The K in the horizontal asymptote will match. And so that's going to make that easy for you, okay? Now our function is this. Y, kind of write small here because we're going to write some more stuff down here, okay? Y is AX, not AX. I was like, where did I get that X from? I was thinking ahead, I guess. Okay, A, B, X minus 1 is the exponent raised in the air, and then plus K. K is back down low, the same size as the A and the B. Okay, so let's write, using this information, let's write our equation. Y is, A is 1, so we're not going to write the A. The B is 2x minus 3, and then back down to the ground level, plus 0. We don't have to write the 0, but we can. You can if you want to. Okay, so we plugged in the 0 here. We plugged in the h. Oh, that's supposed to be an h, guys. X minus h. Some of y'all, that might have been why you had a funny look on your face. Okay? And then b is 2. Okay, so over here, let's try this one. Okay? In your head, what do you say? Flat, flat, flat. You have to do it 3 times or it doesn't work. It's like Dorothy clicking her heels 3 times, okay? You have to say it 3 times or it doesn't work. Okay, flat, flat, flat. First point, second point, okay? Okay, so there's our h. That's how much our graph got pushed to the left. So our h is how much? -4. Now, when we put him in the equation, he'll become positive, won't he? Okay, he'll lie when he gets down here. Our b is, and you have to get a little inventive on how you're going to squeeze all this in, but our b is how much? 3. It went up 3, didn't it? It's kind of, that's the growth factor. Okay, so we can write our horizontal asymptote. It's the same as the k. So our function is the b, x minus h, and then a plus k. So b is 3, x plus 4. It's going to be the opposite. And then plus 0. If you want to write the 0, feel free to do it. Okay, so just to try to give you some notes that might help you, okay? Some of you don't ever use your notes, but some of you do. Okay, let's write some little hints on how to find the K. You're going to write 3 things, so make sure you have room to write 3 things here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the K is, it's the x-axis, okay? 2, it's these are all distances to the horizontal asymptote. Okay? This is our up or down. Most of you know that by now, that K moves the graph up or down. Okay? Our H is the y-axis. It's the distance from the y-axis to the first point. So you have to mark your first and second points first. Then you can figure all this out. Okay? And that is our right or our left. How much did the graph move right or left? And then our B is the distance from the second point to the horizontal asymptote. So far, our horizontal asymptote has been on the x-axis. So it looks like B is the distance from the second point to the x-axis, but it's really the second point to the horizontal asymptote. Okay, B is always positive. Okay, so I'll give you a second to get that. I'm going to add that to my notes. Okay, y'all got that? Write a little faster. Copy more than one word at a time. Okay. Okay, so let's practice some more. Maybe, if the Promethean board cooperates. Okay, so clear this out. Okay, here we go. Okay, so notice this time, here's the x-axis. It's like Superman has pushed this up, right? Okay, he's just pushed it up. Okay, so we start flat, 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 first point, second point. Okay, what is our h? What is our h, guys? Here's my h. Use h as the first point. Did it move it right or left any? No, so h is 0. B is what? 2. And then K, usually when I'm marking on my graph, because the B and the H kind of get all tangled together with my notes, I'll come over to the side and kind of write the K. K is how much? 4. He pushed it up 4. Okay, Superman did. Okay, K for kryptonite also, right? Right? It all goes together. See, math makes sense, right? Okay. Okay, so our horizontal asymptote is the same as the K. It's at y equals 4, isn't it? I mean, there it is. Okay, so our function, if you want to write this, it's b x minus h and then plus k. So our b is 2 x minus 0, so you don't really have to write the minus 0, and then plus 4. What? Do what? How did I get the b? It's the distance from the horizontal asymptote to the second point. The first point is used to figure out right and left. The second point is used to figure out your b. Okay? Okay, so here, flat, 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 first point. So that tells me right away my first point is on the y-axis. My graph didn't move any right or left. And sure enough, they have it marked over here as a 0. Okay, second point is up here. The second point is your B. That second point is your B. B is the second letter in the alphabet. So maybe that'll help. B is the second letter in the alphabet. B is the second point. Okay, they didn't mean for that to happen, but it just happened. So it's to our benefit. Okay, and then our K. What about Superman this time? What did he do? He pushed the graph down 5, okay? K for kryptonite. Okay, so the horizontal asymptote is the same as the K. So our function then is the B is 3, x minus 0. I can write the 0 or not write it. I wrote it over here. How about I don't write it here, just so you can see the difference. Okay, and then minus 5. There's our B, there's our K. Y'all catching on? No? No? A little bit. Okay. So maybe by the end of the notes you'll be caught on. Okay. So now this one doesn't have a horizontal asymptote. So you probably ought to draw that in first. Okay. There's really no order to do this. If you want to go ahead and go, oh yeah, I see the K right here. The K is 1. Superman pushed this thing up 1. You can go ahead and do the K first if you want to. It doesn't matter, okay? Okay, so then you start where the graph is flat, 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 flat. You go traveling up. Oh, there's the first point. There's the second point. Okay, so this time our graph did move over right or left, didn't it? Our H is how much? 3, good. And then the B is 2. So let's go fill these in. B is 2, H is 3. Now, in a minute, our H will become a liar, but it's not a liar yet. Okay? Down here, when we put it in the equation, it will be. Our horizontal asymptote is always easy. It's the same as the K. Okay? Y is K. Okay, so our function, Y equals the B 2, and then x minus the h, and then plus the k. If you want to write it out here, b x minus h plus k. Now, what we haven't talked about yet is domain and range, but they're going to be easy. Okay, so let's talk about domain. Domain is how wide is your graph? What x's does your graph take up? Okay, so where's my graph going here to the left? Negative infinity. Where's it going to the right? It's going to infinity. Now, it's getting there rather slowly because it's so steep, but it will gradually, it is slanted a slight bit, so it will gradually get over here all the way to negative infinity. So you can write it like this, but that's a lot of pen strokes when you can just kind of do all real numbers. So your domains are going to always be all real numbers, so that makes that part easy. Okay, now your range might be a little different. Okay, now remember, well, let's talk about it. Okay, so we have y. We use y for your range. This black graph right here is bigger than what number? 1. It's bigger than 1. Is it going to touch 1? No. Remember the whole asymptote situation? That asymptote won't let that graph touch it. So it's never, ever, ever going to touch that 1. So for these, you don't use the equal to signs. Okay? You could also, if you wanted to, do 1 to infinity. But I think this is easier. Okay? Today and tomorrow, they're all going to be greater, just plain old greater thans. Wednesday, when we reflect them, then they might be less thans. But today, not. Okay, so let's keep scooting along here. Get through as many of these as we can. Okay, let me clear this out. Okay, so let's do another one. So, mark your asymptote. While we're waiting on this to clear, mark the asymptote. Okay, if you want to go ahead and do your k then, you can because you have asymptote on your mind. Okay, just kind of do your k off to the side so it doesn't interfere with the graph. So how much did Superman push this thing? Did he push it up or down? Down. Okay. That is for, oh, okay, I'll give it to him. Okay, so he pushed it down 5, it looks like, doesn't it? Okay, so k is negative 5. Okay, now let's do our, oh, we could go ahead if we wanted to. We could do our horizontal asymptote. Y is negative 5. We could even do our range. They're all going to use the same number, right? Okay, we could even say our graph is bigger than negative 5. They all are the same. So now let's do our flat, flat, flat. So we go flat, flat, flat. We mark our first point here. Sometimes you have to be very careful with that second point. It gets so steep, it just kind of smushes in with one of those grid lines, and it's hard to tell. Okay, so our graph moved to the right or left how much? 1. So my h is a negative 1, right? It moved to the left 1. The b is right here. Okay, so the b is how much? 1 from the asymptote, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And b is always positive. B is always positive. Now we can write our function. Y equals the b x minus negative 1, which will be a positive 1, right? The h is going to be a liar now. And then a big old minus 5 for the k. And my domain is easy, all real numbers. So there's a lot of easy things about this that you can, get right. Okay? Then number 5. Okay? Flat, 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 flat. Oh, well, that's the horizontal asymptote. I wasn't saying the right thing. Okay, so where is our horizontal asymptote? Negative 6. That's our k at negative 6. That's our range. My graph is everything bigger than, oops, I drew the equal to. It's everything bigger than a negative 6, right? Okay, we know our domain's going to be all real numbers. Go ahead and get that filled in. Okie doke. So that leaves the h, the b, and then writing the equation. Okay, so we start here and we say what? Flat, flat, flat. First point, you go find the second point. The first point helps you find which one, H or B? H, okay? So my graph slid over to the right 2. And then the B is what? The B is 3, okay? Okay, so my function is y equals the B. You want to write it again, B x minus h plus k. Sometimes just writing things down several times helps you sink it in to your head. Okay, so B is 3, x minus 2 minus 6. That's your B, that's your H, that's your K. Okay, y'all getting this? Huh? Okay. Now, this is like yesterday, Friday. A piece of gold jewelry was worth $700 in 1980. And we talked about that in class, didn't we? How gold kind of usually tends to increase in value. It has increased in value over time by 1.8%. What will be its worth in 2020? Okay, what's the initial value of this gold? 700. Now, the B, the growth rate, it's 1 plus the percent. Okay, but we have to change the percent to a decimal. So we have to move it over twice. Okay, then we add a 1 to it. So 1.018. So if you ever make a mistake with these, it's probably you didn't get your B right. And then the time, so let's talk about the time. If we go from 1980 to 2020, how many years is that? 40. Just count it on your fingers if you have to. From 80, we got 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. Okay, that's 40 years. Okay, so 40. So now we're going to say, here's the equation right here. The A, the initial value, times the growth rate, raised to the 40th power, raised to the time. So type that in your calculators. If you need to come, we don't have math time today, but if you need to come after school and borrow a calculator to get that other one done from Friday, then that's what you need to do. Or borrow one in a science teacher's class if you need to do that. Okay, so what did y'all get? Now remember, this $700, it should go up. If it goes down, you didn't do something right, which my guess would be you wouldn't have added the 1 to it. So that could happen. Okay, so be careful. Make sure your problem makes sense in the end. Make sure your answer makes sense. What did y'all get? Hello? Okay, 1,428, and how many cents? We're talking money here. 90 cents, I think? 92 cents? Okay. I just had a 9 on my paper. I don't know why. Okay, so that was growth. We just did growth. So let's talk about this a second. If it were decay, what would you know about this growth, this factor right here? It would be less than 1. Okay, if it's growth, it's 1 or more. If it's decay, and all of our B's up here they were more than 1, weren't they? Okay, we never had a problem with it being 1. Okay, so for decay, we're going to have a value here that's less than 1. So that leads us to our next worksheet, 12.3. Okay, so this one will go a little faster because we're used to things. There's only one difference as we wait for these to slowly clear. Okay, there's only one difference. So you have to be on your toes, though, to catch that difference. Okay, and that difference is that your B is a fraction. It's 1 over B. We just said that with that word problem a minute ago. Y'all just told me that decay had to be less than 1, didn't it? Correct? So it's 1 over B. It's a fraction A fraction is less than 1. A fraction is in between 0 and 1, correct? And so, just like your word problems yesterday, you had decimals for if it were decay. Okay, so it makes sense that it would be 1 over b. Okay, so let's write that right here. You're going to have an a, which we're really probably not going to have. The only a we're going to do is a negative a. We're going to reflect it on Wednesday. 1 over b x minus h plus k. Okay, so a minute ago, the graphs were going like this, right? Whoops, I kind of missed. That would be growth. Increasing as you go from left to right like you would read a book. If it's decreasing as you read a book, then that's decay. Okay, so that's how you know by looking at the graph. So let me erase my little line there. It's going to let me. Okay, so we know this is decay. Okay, so, but we do the exact same thing, guys. Okay, flat, flat, flat. First point, see my first point is going through 0, 1. That's the magical place that it should go through if it hasn't been moved right or left. And then the second point. That second point, the B, is the second letter in the alphabet. Okay, and so that's why they have a 2 here. But they write it 1 over B because it's decay. So here, flat, 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 first point, second point, B is 3. They write it 1 over 3. Okay, flat, 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 first point, second point, B is 4, 1 over 4. Okay, for decay, you write 1 over the B. Okay, so let's do some horizontal translations. So this is helping what we just learned too, if you were still a little confused. Okay, so this, here's, you can barely, on mine, I don't know that you can see it on yours, you can barely see this dotted line here. So there's the asymptote. It hasn't been moved up or down. So flat, 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 first point, second point. What is the first point used to find? The H. Okay, so what is the H here? The H is 3. Okay, it moved to the right 3. When we write our equation down here, it's going to become a negative 3 because H is going to lie down here. Okay, what's our B? Yeah, well, our B is still 2. Okay, but if you want to write yourself a little note out here to use 1 over 2, that's fine. But your B is still technically 2. Okay, so on my papers, I even kind of have it like this. I'll say, in the blank, I'll put a 2. But I write myself a little note out here. Hey, remember to use 1 over 2. Okay? Okay, and then our K is 0. We didn't move it up or down. So our horizontal asymptote is 0. So let's write our function. Okay? It's going to be 1 over B x minus h plus k. So 1 over 2 x minus 3. We don't have a k value other than 0. I mean, k does have a value, it's 0, but it's just not affecting the graph, is it? Okay, so here, once again, k is 0, that matches. Okay, flat, 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 first point, second point. So what is the h? H is a big old number here. What is the h? What happened? Negative 5, good. And what is the b? It's 3, okay? But if you want to write yourself a note, hey, remember to use 1/3, that might help, okay? So, y equals 1 over b x plus 5. It's going to be the opposite, right? And then plus k. Okay? Okay. Next page. Okay. Oh, now Superman comes in. Okay. So, what is our K? 4. K is 4. Horizontal asymptote is 4. They're not asking for domain and range just yet, are they? Okay, so we're flat, flat, flat. First point, oh, H isn't doing anything. Second point, there's my B. B is 2. Getting this down, Sabian? Come on. Because this isn't hard once you just practice it a little bit and think along with me. You can get it. Okay, so since this is decay, it's 1 over B. Oh, could have written myself a little note out here. Okay, X, oh, just a plain old X. I could do minus 0 or plus 0 if I wanted to. It wouldn't be wrong to write that. And then my K is plus 4. Okay, here's another one. Flat, flat, flat. First point, you have to be careful with that second point. So what is B here, guys? 1, 2, what is B? What? 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then the H is nothing. So the B is 4. But the K, Superman pushed this how? He pushed it down 3. Okay? Horizontal asymptote then is negative 3, just like the K. The function is 1 over 4 X and then minus 3. That's your B. That's your K. Y'all got that? I moved that a little too quick, I guess. Okay. So now this one's going to have a little bit of everything, okay? Okay, I will draw in your asymptote. There you go. So where is your asymptote? Since you just drew it in and it's on your brain, you might as well go ahead and do that part. What is your asymptote? Y equals 1. That's your K. That's how much Superman pushed this thing up. Okay? Now, let's write our, let's figure out our H and B. So flat, 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 flat. Okay, first point. What's your first point used for? To find your what? Your H. Okay, so how much did it move over? H moved over 3. Okay. And then second point is right here. Sometimes your graphs get a little messy like that, so you just have to whoop. Okay, so B is what? 2. Okay, so now we can write our graph. Y equals, it is a decay, so we're going to use a half instead. 1 over 2 X minus our H, 3 is our H, and then plus 1. Okay, what's our domain? All real numbers, easy. Okay, what's our range? Y is still greater than. Here is this asymptote here. Here's my graph. My graph is never, ever, ever going to be below this asymptote. It's not going to cross it and go over it. So my graph is always bigger than what? It's always bigger than 1 in this particular, on this particular graph. So look, your horizontal asymptote, your K, and your range. Okay, and finally, how many more examples do we have? 2 more? 3 more. Okay, we can do it. Okay, what's our K here, guys? What's K? 4. So we're going to put a 4 here for K. Our horizontal asymptote is 4. Our range is Y equals greater than 4. Okay, so we're going to go flat, 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 first point. What does the first point tell us? The H. So the H is what? Negative 2. Okay, the B. So we got to go find our second point. What's our B? B is 3. Okay, so we can write our function. Oh, and for B, because this is decay, we're going to use 1/3, aren't we? Okay, 1/3 X plus 2 plus 4. And our domain is all real numbers. So we did that in a minute or less. If you know your stuff, you can do this, and you can do each problem in about a minute. Okay. It may take you longer at first. Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, we're going to draw in our asymptote. Okay, oh, that's our K. What did Superman do this time? Yeah, he pushed it down how many? 5. So K is negative 5. The horizontal asymptote is negative 5. The range is y is greater than negative 5. My graph is bigger than negative 5. The domain, we can go do that one. It's all real numbers. Now that leaves what? The H and the K, right? So we go flat, flat, flat. First point. What does the first point tell us? The H. So H is what? Negative 4. Okay? The B, that's our second point. What's the B? Okay, 2. All righty, now we can write it. Y equals, but this is decay, so we're going to use a half. 1 over B x plus 4 minus 5. Okay, we did that. I looked at the clock. I think we did that in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's with me taking a couple of pauses in there. Okay, last. Y'all want to see if y'all can do the last one by yourself? Okay, y'all try it, and then I'll do it real quick. Be careful on that second point. It kind of gets all blendy with all meshed in together. No, maybe not. Okay, or just fix it. It looks like the B is 1, 2, 3, 4. B is 4. Okay, did y'all get B is 4? H is 2, K is negative 3. Because this is decay, we're going to use 1 over 4. And then x minus 2 minus 3, all real numbers. So were y'all successful? Good. Okay. So let me pass out the work real quick in case some of y'all want to get started on it.